If you have ever wanted to know whether real estate or the stock market makes more money, I'm going to give you the real math today. Two people, the same age, same job, same $40,000 saved. One of them buys a rental and the other one puts it all in index funds and never touch it again. 20 years later, one of them is sitting on about $328,000 and the other one is sitting on about $324,000. 20 years apart, $4,000 apart. Neither one wins. And I want you to know exactly where I'm standing when I tell you that. I own over $2 million in real estate. I also have multiple six figures sitting in index funds. So I'm not here to defend a side. I own both sides. And I have made expensive mistakes on both sides. One of them cost me $37,000 in 5 years. And I'm going to walk you through it in a minute. But by the end of this video, you will know which one you should start with. And more importantly, why the order matters more than the choice. First, the real math on the rental property versus the index fund. Then the $37,000 decision I still think about. Then the principle underneath both of them, so you can run them in the right order. Stay with me all the way until the end. Before we get into it, my name is Elridge Moore. I'm an investor and private lender here in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I run an active $2 million lending portfolio. My partner and I also run our vertical capital bankers community where we help members build their own personal banking systems. We have members who became the bank on land, members who became the bank on rental property, and members who became the bank on cars. Same principle every time. I have been investing in real estate for over 11 years, but I've only been running this exact system since 2021. And that year matters because in 2021 is the year I made the mistake I'm about to show you. Everything I share now came out of it. Now let's get into the math. So let's say you have two people, call them Marcus and David. Marcus buys the rental. He puts his $40,000 down on a $200,000 house. Takes a 30-year mortgage at 7%, and his payment comes out to about $1,064 a month. He rents it for $1,700. So on paper, he is making $636 a month. Keep that number in mind, $636 a month. That is the number people put in the comments. That is the number that makes you want to buy a rental. Now here's the real math. You have property taxes, about $2,000 a year. Insurance, about $1,500 a year. Maintenance, about 1% of the house, so $2,000. In 1 month a year with nobody in it, that is $1,700 gone. Add it up and you're at $7,200 a year in real costs. His paper cash flow for the year was $7,626. So Marcus is not making $636 a month. He is making about $35 a month. And that is before he answers a single phone call at 11 at night about a water heater. David, on the other hand, does something different. He puts the same $40,000 into index funds and sets up $150 a month automatically. No tenants, no roof, no phone calls. Nothing to drive past and point at. Marcus's house appreciates. Call it 3.5% a year. So it's worth around $395,000. He owes about $92,000 on it. That is roughly $303,000 in equity. Add up every dollar of real cash flow over those 20 years and you maybe get $25,000 more. Call it $328,000. David's account at a 9% average is at about $324,000. He put in $76,000 of his own money. The rest of it he never touched. 20 years, two completely different lives, basically the same number. Now stop and think about what that actually means. If both of them end up in the same place, then the money was never the difference. Something else was. One of them spent 20 years carrying a mortgage on a building. The other one spent 20 years watching a number go up and down and doing nothing about it. Same result, completely different weight to carry. So the real question was never which one makes more money. The real question is which one you can personally live with. Let me show you what I mean. Here's what nobody sits down and explain. Both of them carry risks. They are just different risks. Real estate risk is quiet until it's not. Your unit goes vacant and the mortgage does not care. The bank still wants the payment on the first. And now it's coming out of your pocket instead of your tenants. That is your risk. You are personally on the hook for the debt and asset that stopped producing. Market risk is loud. Volatility shows up on your screen. You watch the number fall and there is nothing to touch, nothing to fix, nothing to do. That is your risk. Sitting still while it drops. So which one is better? Wrong question again. The first decision is not which investment you want. It is which risks are you willing to carry. Pick the risks first, then pick the vehicle. Almost nobody does it in that order. Now, let me tell you where I land and why. For me, it comes down to peace of mind. My money in the market is liquid. I can get to it, and when I need it, I do not have to sell anything. I can take out a margin loan against that portfolio, use the money, and the position stays right where it is and keeps compounding the whole time. My money gets to work in two places at once. I cannot do that with a vacant lot. I know some people would say you could get a line of credit against your real estate. Yes, you can, but it's not considered liquid. Something that is liquid is money you could access in 24 to 48 hours, and you cannot access a line of credit in that time frame. For 7 years, I did this backwards. I bought real estate first, and I funded it by emptying whatever I had saved. Then in 2021, I started investing in the market again, and I stopped buying property, not because real estate stopped working, because I finally understood the order. Stock market first, real estate second. And that is exactly what my partner and I are doing at Vertical Capital right now. Our whole focus is becoming the bank on our entire $2 million portfolio. And let me tell you what that actually means for us. So it's not just a phrase, be your own bank. It means getting to about $3 million liquid. Spread that across our company brokerage account, our individual brokerage account, and our other vaults like an index universal life insurance policy. $3 million sitting there and working so that every piece of real estate we own is financed by us instead of somebody else. And we are not there yet, but we are going to get there. And until we do, we are not buying another piece of real estate, not one. And this is what everybody in our Vertical Capital bankers community is doing. We call it capitalizing our banking systems. We use index funds to store money, and we leverage our accounts to buy real estate and other assets after the capitalization phase. We have dozens of people following this exact process we are following. To capitalize our brokerage accounts, we use a combination of three components: strategic debt, compounded interest, and the velocity of money. On average, we have members hitting their first $100,000 in 24 months through this process. Now you may be asking what becoming your bank actually means, because most people hear the phrase and think it's about owning a bank. It is not. Think about what a bank actually does when it lends you $200,000 for a house. Does it go find $200,000 sitting in a vault, hand it to you, and now the vault is empty? No. The deposits stay right where they are. The bank creates the loan against them, collects your payment every month for 30 years, and never once had to sell what is already owned. That is the whole thing. The bank never liquidates to lend. Now look at what a regular person does. You want a property, so you go find your money, wherever it's sitting, and you take it out. You empty the vault. And the second you do that, everything that money was doing for you stops. You are borrowing from yourself in the worst possible way because you never pay yourself back. So becoming a bank means one thing. You build a pool of capital that never gets emptied. You buy everything else against it. Here's how that changes the exact decision I got wrong in 2021. Instead of selling $37,000 of my index funds to buy that lot, I keep the position and borrow against it. The money comes out, the lot gets bought, and my portfolio never knew it happened. It keeps compounding the entire time. Then the money I would have spent goes to pay that loan back. And when it's paid back, the pool is bigger than when I started. The same lot, same $37,000, completely different outcome because the dollar got used twice instead of once. That is the spread, and that is the whole game. What the money costs you to borrow on the side against what it earns you on the other. When the earning side is bigger than the borrowing side, you want that loan. You're not going into debt. You're renting money cheaper than it makes you. Now stay with me, this is where it clicks. Because once you understand that, the question that started this video falls apart. Real estate or stocks? You do not have to answer it. The money position is not competing with the property. The market position is what buys the property. And I want to be straight with you about one thing, because this is where people get hurt. Borrowed money is not free. It is not risk-free. If you borrow against a portfolio and the market drops, that loan does not care how you feel about it. How much you borrow against what you own is the entire difference between this being a tool and this being a problem. That number is not a guess, and it's not the same for everybody. If this is showing you something new, go ahead and like and subscribe so the next one finds you. Now let me show you what this looks like when you get it wrong. In 2021, a vacant lot came available down the street from a duplex I own here in New Orleans. I knew that block, I knew it was coming to that block, so when I saw it, I did not hesitate. I liquidated $37,000 out of my index funds and I bought the lot cash. And in that moment, it felt like the smartest thing I ever done. I went from a number on a screen to a piece of land I could stand on. I could drive past it, I could point at it. My money finally looked like something. I still own that lot today, and I still have not developed it. 5 years, no structure on it, no tenants in it, no rent coming off of it. Just taxes and insurance and upkeep every year, coming out of my pocket, on repeat. That land has not paid me $1. It has only asked me for dollars. And that same $37,000, if I had just left it alone in the index funds, would be worth somewhere around $60,000 today. Now let me put the two versions of that decision side by side, because when you see it this way, it stops being an opinion. Option A is what I did. Sell the position, pay cash, own the land free and clear. No debt, no payments, nothing owed to anybody. Option B is what I would do today. Leave the position alone, borrow $37,000 against it, and buy the lot with the borrowed money. On paper, option A looks better. Obviously, no debt, no interest, no risk. Every person who has ever told you to pay cash is pointing at option A. Wrong. And here's the part nobody explains. Option A has a cost. That's opportunity cost. You just never get a bill for it. Nobody sends you a statement that says, this month you gave up $300 in growth. The cost is real, it's just invisible, and invisible costs are the ones that get people. In option B, I am paying interest on a full $37,000 for every day the loan is outstanding. Say that cost me around 7%. Meanwhile, that same $37,000 stay in the market doing what it does, call it 10% on average. Earning 10, costing 7. The gap is mine. And it is mine on a dollar I never had to have. 5 years later, option B leaves me holding the lot in a portfolio around $60,000 minus what the loan cost me. Option A leaves me holding the lot. That's it. That is the whole picture. Same land, same day, same $37,000. One version of me also has a portfolio. And it goes further than the money. Say a unit goes vacant. In option A, the cash that would have covered it is in the ground. You cannot sell a corner of the lot to make a mortgage payment. So it comes out of your pocket. And if it runs long enough, it comes out of your peace of mind. In option B, you still have the pool. You cover the payment, you keep the property, and you never sold anything to do it. This is what I mean by peace of mind. It's not that the market is safer than real estate. It is that liquid money gives you options and locked money takes them away. The risk did not disappear. I just made sure I always have something to answer it with. So notice the pattern. I did not lose money on a bad deal. That lot is still good dirt in a good location. And one day it's going to do exactly what I bought it for. The mistake was never buying the land. The mistake was what I paid for it with. That is not investing. That is transferring. That is the real Matt. It is not real estate versus stocks. It is what you had to kill to get in the door. So let's bring this all the way home. Two people, same $40,000, 20 years apart, and they land $4,000 from each other. So the money was never the difference. The difference is what you had to give up to get there and what risk you agreed to carry and whether you can still reach your own money when life shows up. Real estate is not passive. The market is not slow. They both work. They just work in an order, and almost everybody runs the order backwards. I ran it backwards for 7 years. I bought a lot in 2021 with money that was already working. And 5 years later, I still own the lot, and I do not own the $60,000. That is not investing, that is transferring. And once you see it that way, it's hard to unsee it. So stop asking which one makes more money. When the answer is nothing, you have become the bank. I want to welcome you to join our Vertical Capital Bankers community. Inside, you will get the same system our partner and I are using right now to become the bank on our entire portfolio. The link is in the description. And if this was useful, hit that like button and subscribe button. It will help this video reach more people. And leave me a comment with this. Which one did you start with, real estate or the market? Or which one you're thinking of starting with? I will see you on the next video.